Hi, I am Pratim Ranjan Bose, and you are watching Perspective. This is a hurriedly drawn episode based on a Supreme Court judgment on appointment of teaching and non-teaching staff by a panel of 2016 in West Bengal. The Supreme Court has scrapped the entire panel of 24,000 people, non-teaching and non-teaching staff in schools. I read out from bar and bench what judges have said, and I quote, entire selection process is vitiated by manipulation and fraud, and credibility and legitimacy is denuded. In simpler terms, the government had persisted on irregular processes without any shame about it. There was no checks and balances. It was just the selection was used for the rent seekers to collect bribes and bring people or give it to the people whom they think that closer to them, irrespective of their eligibility. That doesn't mean that everyone in this 24,000 panel were ineligible. There must be eligible candidates. But the selection process was so grossly manipulated that you could not distinguish between the good apple and the bad apple. And that's a terrible thing to happen to any state, more so in states like West Bengal, which barely has jobs. It is a state which is a back of the beyond in Indian economy, and it's one of the lowest in terms of per capita income. There is barely any industry. So teaching jobs are the biggest, the day they hold this selection examinations, you can just see the West Bengal gets completely stalled. There are so many people on the streets those days. So one can understand the social impact. And please remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg, because some 50 to 60,000 more people who were selected in similar processes, in similar panels, in different years, are awaiting the verdict. The big issue is, there are a couple of issues. One, the whole social problem is invited by the West Bengal government. Allegations of fraud and irregularities were raised from as early as in 2016 when this panel was created. But the government denied everything, went through it. They didn't care less until Calcutta High Court gave a judgment on this, called inquiries, and gave a judgment. And the government denied it. They challenged it in the Supreme Court. If the government accepted irregularities in the first place when the allegations were raised, they had the opportunity to scrap the panel and take the re-examination and give the jobs. They didn't do that. So roughly a decade is wasted in between. It means that many of the people who appeared in the last exam will not be able to appear in the next time they hold an election, because they will exceed the age marks. This is about the social problem. Now, Trinamool, the ruling party, is blaming it on the court for not distinguishing between the eligible and the ineligible, which means the candidates which were given the job for exchange of bribes or for some other favor. So they expected the court to distinguish between the two. Now, there are two questions. One, whether the state government could really distinguish and present credible evidence for such distinction. If we go by the Supreme Court judgment, there was none. So the whole claim was itself a fraud. And the Supreme Court, when your selection process is so non-transparent, Supreme Court doesn't have much option but to scrap it through the root. This is exactly what they did in coal block allotment case in 2014. If you may remember, captive coal block allotment began in 1993. And there was no allegation of any irregularity until about 2008, 6, 9, 7, 8, 9, etc. Because in the initial years, there were less people wanted a coal block. But as the days progressed, as the economy got bigger, there was more demand for energy. So there were more private sector went for, taking assets, coal assets. The Supreme Court scrapped it from the root for a simple reason. The process of selection was non-transparent from the beginning. So when it was unclear that you cannot make a distinction between the good apple and the bad apple. The same thing has happened to West Bengal. And the West Bengal, the ruling Trinamool Congress, is completely it is unfortunate that they are trying to pass the buck on the court and the opposition parties who have gone to the court demanding justice to stop the irregularities. In my opinion, this is the coal block deallocation moment for West Bengal. The impact of this case should spread, it should have multi-fold impact on the entire distribution of government resources. Right now, it is about jobs. It is about the Cash4Job scam. But please understand, the state is facing barrage of allegations on distribution of the smallest of small benefits to the people, whether it is distribution of houses that the state sponsors, or distribution of other benefits, social benefits. In every case, there are allegations, there are inquiries, there are court cases. So it is really an unique situation in this state where irregularities have gone down to the roots. I understand this particular case will help improve the whole situation in West Bengal. We all wish that sanity returns. We are not expecting honesty in utopian terms. We expect there will always be some rent seekers, there will always be some irregularities, there will always be some cases of exchange of bribes in any society, in India, outside India. But there cannot be a case where every transaction, every distribution is suspected. And that is unfortunately the case in West Bengal, and even the good apples, the eligible people, are suffering from it. Just imagine there was some eligible fellow who might have got the job on due merit. And today he will be jobless with his age crossing the above the bar, and he will not be able to apply or sit for the exam next time. Thank you very much for watching Perspective.